mics. Okay, all right. Well, good evening, families, and welcome to our Plan B offerings information session. Thank you for joining us tonight. And before we get started, we want to remind everyone that this presentation is being recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel. Also, as we present, please feel free to type in your questions in the chat box. And while we will work to answer as many questions as we can tonight, we know we won't get to all of them. But what we will do is make sure that you get answers to all of your questions. And we're going to take your questions and create a Q&A from this session as well as Tuesday's session. And we will be sure to post those on our website by Monday at the latest. And tonight's presentation will focus on the instructional models. And then next week, we will host 2 more information sessions focused on the health and safety measures we have in place to keep our students and staff safe. So it is that time for our families to decide how your students come back to school in January. When we start the second half.
I can only imagine, but look at it. I don't know if it'll fit.
I know.
I'm sorry, could you please could we please mute our mics? Don't please mute them.
Okay, you're fine.
Kathleen, Dr. Dawson, you have been muted. So if you will unmute, thank you.
Thank you. I'm trying to look at 3 screens, so thank you for that. Yes, okay, where I left off. So we are excited to share with you the different offerings you will have to select from as you determine the best option for you and your family as you return back to Plan B in January. And so before we get started, I want to share with you how you can access interpretation services for our bilingual families. There we go. So here are our directions. I gotta move my. So if you see where number 1 is, right? So to access interpretation services on the computer, this is for the computer, you want to click on the small globe in the menu at the bottom of the screen indicated by the green arrow 1. Then you'll want to choose the language that you would like to hear. And then you can choose to mute the original audio English version. So from 1, you go to 2, and then you can select your language. And then when you go to 3, you can choose to mute the English version. And then 4, you just finally click there for your interpretation services. Similarly, on the, if you're trying to do that on your phone, right? You can do similarly, but it's found on the right bottom hand corner where you can select, you get the drop down menu, and then you can click on the language interpretation. And then you see number 3, you can pick the language that you would like. And again, just a reminder for Burmese, you're going to see Japanese because Burmese was not an option. So if you want Burmese, you click on Japanese. And please pardon us for that because we know that Burmese is definitely not Japanese. And then on arrow number 4, again, if you want to mute the English version, you can click on that. And then on the far upper right-hand corner, then you can click on your language, and that should get you the language that you would like. And we're all jealous because we all wish we were multilingual. So now that we've connected to our language options, let's get started. This is time for Plan B sign up. And today you should have received the sign up form via your email. And the purpose of this form is for our families to let your schools know how you would like to return to school in January under Plan B. And so we're going to share that with you tonight, what your offerings are. And our second semester does start January 25th. And I do not believe, I know that in Google Meet, there are closed captions available. So I don't know if that's available tonight, but if it is, we will turn that on. So, and if someone knows how to do it, please type it in and chat and we'll definitely do it. But we weren't able to figure that out for this evening. So if you did not receive an email today with the Plan B form for sign up, please contact your school, because that means that we don't have an email address for you, and we definitely want that so we can better communicate with you in these ways, such as sending you a form. And so before we get started, well, we kind of got started, but I do want to introduce to you our curriculum and instruction team that's going to help us present this very important information with you. And so tonight we're going to hear from our Director of CTE, Ms. Shannon Braxton, our Director of Exceptional Children's Services, Ms. Connie Crimmins, and our Executive Director of Student Support and School Improvement, Mr. Jason Johnson. So first, the team will provide information about the different offerings, and then we'll have time to answer questions you may have. As you're typing them, of course, we'll try to type in answers in the chat as well. But yes, please, even if we're not getting to your question, please type it in for our Q&A. All right, so to get us started, Ms. Braxton.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Again, I'm Shannon Braxton. I'm the Director for Career and Technical Education, or CTE, as well as Cultural Arts. On the slide that you are seeing now are the start and end times by school tier. So you will note that elementary will begin at 9:30 a.m. and will end at 3 p.m. Middle school will begin at 8:30 a.m. and end at 2 p.m. And high school will begin at 11 a.m. and end at 4. On this next slide, you're going to see 4 options that you're going to select. The first thing you have to decide is on the very top. Are you and your student coming back into the school building, or are you staying home? Staying home means that you're going to be 100% remote, or another word would be virtual academy. So again, the first thing you have to decide is, will my student come back into the building? If so, you're going to look at that left-hand column. It's a little bit blue or purple, and it says come back to school. Or will you stay 100% at home, or remote, or virtual academy? If you choose the left-hand column that your child is going to come back into the school, you will come back in on alternating weeks in the hybrid schedule. So what that means is that you will have 1 week in person in the building and 1 week at home remote. The 1 week in the building will be Monday to Thursday, and on Friday will be asynchronous for all, for the students that have been in person that week, as well as for the students that are at home, 100% remote or virtual academy. Just like we are doing right now, there's Monday to Thursday, live instruction, in person, work with your teacher, and then Friday is asynchronous for all. And then on the next week for hybrid, your student will be at home 100%, Monday to Thursday. They will be at home with remote instruction from the teacher. And again, Friday would be asynchronous. So if you're coming back to school, that's going to be the option. Every other week, A week or B week in the building, and the next week at home. If you can go to the next slide, Dr. Dawson. On this slide, you see an image to illustrate what that would look like. So on the left-hand side, you see a hybrid in-person learning. You see the teacher in the classroom, you see students in the classroom. They are physically distanced. Everyone has on a mask, the teacher at the front of the room. On the right-hand side, you see the remote learners. Those are the ones that are at home that week. They're either at home because they're on their B week or their A week, which is their week that's assigned to be at home. And it could also be the 100% virtual academy kids that are at home with their device, maybe with a headset, with a microphone, and they're engaging in their instruction through their computer, through Zoom links. if you could go to the next slide, Dr. Dawson. These are your 3 virtual academy options. So on that first slide, when I was talking about whether you are going to come into the building, come into school, or stay at home, we talked about if you're going to come into the building, that hybrid every other week in the building. If you choose to stay home or 100% remote or virtual academy, you need to make the decision if you'll choose offering 1, offering 2, or offering 3.
Hi, at the moment, on the exact change or credit card payment.
Offering,
You said exact change or credit card.
I'm sorry.
You're muted. You're still muted.
there we go. Thank you. And thank you to our host in the background that's helping us out to mute everyone. And then we just have to remember to unmute ourselves. So thank you so much. I'm going to start back at this slide. So again, let me just start over with this slide. This is the 100% stay at home, the virtual academy, or 100% remote. You have 3 offerings. In offering 1, it's available for kindergarten through 12th grade. And this is where your student will be at home, virtual academy, 100% remote, but they're going to be joining the class with the students that are hybrid. So they're going to be joining the Zoom link with the students that are, some are coming into the building and some are remote. Offering 2 is only available for kindergarten through 8th grade. And this will be an opportunity, if you choose this offering, where your student will interact only with students that are in the virtual academy, students that are only remote. And the teacher will be working with those students, only the remote students, only the virtual academy. And notice it says only / mainly. So we're going to try really hard to make it only, but it may be that there will be situations where it's mainly virtual academy students. And then the last column on the right is offering 3. Offering 3 of virtual academy is 100% self-paced. There's no daily interaction with other students. It's at your own pace using an online curriculum, 100% remote, self-paced at your own schedule. Dr. Dawson, I'm going to let you take the next slide.
Thank you, Ms. Braxton. I was looking for my unmute button. So thank you for that. And so what this slide portrays is just a visual depiction of what Ms. Braxton just shared with us today. So if you take a look at Virtual Academy offering 1, what you see on the bottom are our hybrid students who have chosen to return back to school in person and remote alternating weeks. And so what you're seeing there on the bottom are the students who are in person. And again, school, everything about school this year has been very interesting, different, lots of new. And so when we go back into in person, you're going to see that, you know, we'll have our teacher, but our desks will be 6 feet apart. We'll be wearing masks, and we'll have very particular rules and guidelines we'll have to follow to make sure that we're all staying safe. But at the same time that the teacher is teaching our students who are in person, the other students who also selected to come back in person, but because of the alternating weeks, half of them will be attending class remotely from home. So that's what you're seeing on the bottom are our students who have selected the hybrid returned in person remote alternating weeks that Ms. Braxton was telling us about. So what will happen for now, our students who are choosing the Virtual Academy offering 1, they will also join this group, but because they're never going back in person, they will always attend class with the group that will always be remote. So that's where they'll always be home and they'll always be attending class with the teacher teaching, but always with the remote cohort of students and never in person. So that's offering 1. And then offering 2 for Virtual Academy, and again, this is only for our K through 8 students, is that there will possibly be an opportunity, right, where we'll have a cohort of students that, you know what, it's not important to them that they be interacting and learning with the students who have chosen to go back in person. They would prefer to be in with the cohort of all of the students that only wanted the virtual experience. And so the schools will do their best to create these cohorts and try to keep them together as best as possible. And so that's offering 2, where families are saying, you know what, I would prefer that my child only be with other students who are doing virtual. So that's offering 2. And offering 3 for Virtual Academy is, you know what, there are a number of reasons that our families may have, from our high schooler that is, you know, working and helping to support their family and their hours aren't as flexible, or for our elementary children that need to go to daycare, you know, and won't have this level of support to do their schoolwork during the day. And our families have shared with us that they need that flexibility as well. And so that's why we created Virtual Academy offering 3. And again, as Ms. Braxton said, that is all self-paced. You see the student, they're not interacting with another cohort of students in their learning. There won't be a teacher that will be giving direct instruction like they would be receiving in the hybrid model or the Virtual Academy offerings 1 and 2. Again, like Ms. Braxton said, the student will take their course strictly online with an online curriculum, but they will, you know, have an adult teacher to help them. But you'll see the student pretty much working on their own. So those are high-level descriptions of the 3 offerings. And so we're going to go a little bit deeper into the offerings here. And so this is for our elementary and middle school levels. And here is offering 1. Now, remember, offering 1, again, it's a mixture. You're choosing to stay virtual, so you're not going in person, but what you are choosing to do is go to school with the remote kids of those who selected hybrid. So you've got your cohorts that are going in person and remote. And then offering 1, I'm saying every time that this group is remote, I am going to school with this group, but I have my classmates and my teacher. I'll get direct instruction from my teacher. And then I'll follow the daily schedule that the school follows, and the school will determine what that schedule will be. And the teacher will decide how much of it is synchronous instruction, how much of it is asynchronous, where they're often working on their own, because teachers are working, you know, to really make sure that we're managing how much time that your students are on the screen, right? So the teachers are being very mindful of that. So, you know, one thing that's really important to note here is that, you know, schools are going to do their very best to try to keep students that have been together right now together, and students with their teachers that they have currently. But, you know, we can't guarantee that, because we have to wait until we hear and know what all of our families have selected. But our principals and our teachers know the importance of relationships and the relationships that our students have developed with their teacher and their students. So they're going to do the very best they can. But again, we can't promise you that at this time. And you'll see that on the form when you complete the form, that, you know what, it's not so much about the virtual offering that is important to you, but if what's most important to you is that we try to keep your child with the same teacher, you can let us know that that's your preference, or that you want your child together with the classmates, and maybe that's most important. And then you can check that. And again, those are your preferences. We will do everything we can to try to meet them. But at this time, unfortunately, we're unable to promise you that, just because we don't know what our families and want for their students. So I think that's really important, families, to please understand that. We will do our best. Okay, so this is for offering 1 with our elementary and middle school students. And then if we take a look at offering 2, the difference again is here, I will not be, you know, the student will not be going to class with those who are going in person and remote. Instead, I'll be with mainly, right? Again, we're saying mainly because we don't know yet. We just don't have the actual numbers yet to be able to say one way or the other definitely. So we will try, if this is your preference that you're trying to be with all Virtual Academy cohort of students, then we will try to do that as best as possible. And your teacher then, may change. Again, we're going to try to keep teachers and students together as much as we can, but teachers may change. And the schedule, though, is similar to what we're following now. There will be a daily schedule. You'll still have a teacher, and the teacher will, provide direct instruction. The teacher will let you know when we're going to do whole group or when you're going to go off and do, elements of your lesson on your own. And the curriculum will also be driven by the teacher as well. So this is offering 2 only for elementary and middle. And, if you're asking and wondering why we do not have an offering 2 for high school, as we worked with our high school teams and we took a look at, is this something we can do? Now, high school is very different, as you know, from elementary and middle, right? High schools, there are many more offerings because we're preparing our high school students to be ready for college and post-secondary after high school. And so we need to expose them to a lot more. But with that comes, we have these teachers that are very specialized. And so sometimes there's only one teacher that can teach a certain class, which also then limits to all the different offerings we can offer. So our, principals and our is this.
Dr. Dawson, oh, there you go.
Yes.
Dr. Dawson, you're muted.
I keep unmuting myself. Okay. So, so that is why we're not able to offer offering 2 at the high school, just because of all of the course offerings and the specialties and the expert teachers that we have. They teach very specific courses because that's their specialty, right? And so that limits the flexibility, and that's why we are not able to offer offering 2 at the high school. So to tell us about our offering 3, self-paced, Ms. Crimmins is going to join us.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I'm Connie Crimmins. I am the Director of Exceptional Children's Services here in Orange County Schools, and I'm very excited to be speaking to you this evening about Virtual Academy Offering 3. So this offering is for students who want to be solely self-paced. They don't want to have to adhere to a schedule. They don't want to have to be online with a teacher at a particular time. And typically the student who fits this profile are ones that are self-starters, get good grades, are organized, and can follow directions. They won't have a teacher, but the program, the learning program they will be on does have lessons that are presented. So it is not just a do the worksheets and turn in your work. There are lessons that will be followed along with some practice and some projects. Classmates, they will not participate with classmates. Again, this is totally self-paced and on their own. So if you have a middle school student, perhaps, that is one of those that likes to get up at 2 or 3 in the afternoon, this might be a good option for them. Or if a parent works during the day and your student has to be at a daycare or a child care center or a learning lab, but you really want to be involved in their work and what they're doing, this might be a good option for you as well. There was a question about what happens if my student gets off track, and there is a learning coach assigned. This is a certified person who really sits and can help problem solve with your student. They don't teach the student isn't online with them all day, but if they get into trouble, they can help get them back online or back on track with their with their lesson, or they can help make the connection between the student and someone at the school who could help dive into the content a little bit deeper should they be running into a problem. Next slide. And the schedule, again, the beauty of this self-paced option is the students pick their own schedule. So they might want to do all of their work for the week on a Monday and Tuesday, maybe take some time off on a Wednesday because they have something else. Maybe they work on Wednesday, or they might want to pace themselves, do some on Monday, do some on Tuesdays, do some on Wednesday, do some on Thursday, do some on Friday. And so really it is up to the student and their parent to choose that schedule. And the curriculum is from the Edmentum suite of programs. K-5 students will use a Calvert curriculum, and our 6 through 8 students, and also 9 through 12, they will use the courseware that has been developed by Edmentum. Additionally, all students will still have access to their to the supplemental resources we have, such as Reading Eggs, Math Seeds, Exact Path, and Study Island. There was a question in the chat about if a student has specialized services such as ESL, EC, and AIG. And yes, those services will be provided. It will just look, we'll have to sit and talk on an individual basis to make sure that what your student needs can be met in the virtual academy, the self-paced option. And then there is a question about the learning coaches. The learning coaches will be Orange County Schools teachers. So again, I hope that you can think through the virtual academy as it is a real option for students.
And Ms. Crimmins, did we share with them, and I'm sorry if I missed that, because I'm trying to answer in chat box too. Did we say that for self-paced 3 for all K through 12, that this does need to be approved by the principal?
I did forget that point. I am so sorry.
No.
This does need to be approved by the principal. Again, we want to make sure that this is a good match for your student, and that if they do choose the self-paced option, that they are set up for success from the very beginning.
Yes. And I know that there was a question about being able to see the curriculum. So and we have the information at the end, but there will be 2 information sessions on the K through 5 self-paced curriculum. One is tomorrow morning at 10, and then one in the evening early next week. So we'll review those dates and times for you, and then we'll let you know when there's an opportunity for you to explore the high school courseware curriculum for self-paced as well. So again, self-paced isn't meant for every student, right? And so that's why we want to make sure that we're choosing this with our school team and our principal approval, because we want to make sure that we're setting your child up for success. So that was elementary and middle, and to share with us the high school options, we have Mr. Johnson.
Thank you, Dr. Dawson. Offering 1 for high schools is similar to elementary and middle, with the main difference being curriculum. High school students will have access to all OCS courses offered at their high schools. The Virtual Academy students under Offering 1 will be in a class with Virtual Academy students and Plan B students. Plan B students will have face-to-face instruction on their high school campus for 1 week, and then they will engage in remote learning the following week. Your students' teachers will change based on the courses that you all selected for second semester. Your student will learn synchronously and asynchronously at the discretion of the teacher. Like Dr. Dawson mentioned earlier, there's a lot of specialized courses in high school, so high school will not be offering 2. Next slide, please. And offering 3, again, is for students who want or need a self-paced, self-directed schedule. These students must have good attendance, strong grades, and are responsible and capable of completing work on their own. Due to these requirements, just like what Ms. Crimmins mentioned, this option must be approved by the principal. Students attending the self-paced virtual academy offering will not participate in class with other students and will not be taught by a live teacher. Students will have a learning coach, just like in elementary and middle school. This learning coach will facilitate weekly virtual meetings with the entire virtual cohort for 1 hour, where they would do social emotional learning activities and connect with each other. Every student in offering three will be assigned a learning coach who's a certified teacher, and this learning coach will monitor your child's work and make sure they're making appropriate progress. Also, the learning coach will also have office hours, and they will reach out to you if your child is struggling. All of the work in offering three will be asynchronous, meaning they will work independently. The learning coach will work with you and your student to set up a support schedule in which you all will meet weekly. If you choose offering three, your student will use Edmentum, and they will be expected to take all the assessments such as exact path and the district and state assessments. This curriculum will be different than what your teachers were using before switching to Virtual Academy. You will still get report cards and progress reports. Grading will be done by the Edmentum platform. Please keep in mind that all courses are not available with this option, and you will need to work with your school counselor in order to choose other courses. Also, with Virtual Academy on the middle school and the high school level, athletics and extracurricular activities are offered.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. And with the extracurricular activities and athletics, families, if you are able to bring your student back to school for that, we do ask that you do that. But at the same time, we are looking into being able to provide transportation for you so that students can have access. The other thing that I was seeing here in the chat, and thank you, Mr. Johnson, for reminding us about assessments, because even if you select to be all virtual, there are some state assessments that the state is requiring that they be taken in person. So in those situations, we will make sure that you have enough notice and that of course, like for all students, all the safety precautions will be taken, and we will put together a schedule where you will be able to come to school and take the state required assessments. And grades, please know that the grading, regardless if you're doing it self-paced on the online platform, or if you're doing it virtually or in person with a hybrid, we set the grading standards. So however the teacher's grade is how the students will be graded across all platforms. So it's not like, hey, if I go all self-paced, that I'm going to be graded differently. If certain assignment is worth certain many points, then certain, that assignments on the self-paced will be worth the same as they are in person. So it will be consistent. One is not better than another. What we're offering isn't, what's better than the other. What we're offering is, we heard from you that you needed options and choices to try to meet your needs. And so that's why we came up with these options to try to meet your needs as best as possible. So it's not one being better than another. It's we will have consistency. So I'm just trying to make sure that we get to your questions. So for high school, I know there was a question about high school. And especially because there are classes, right, that aren't offered on in courseware for self-paced. So for instance, if you're an IB student, if you want to still stay virtual, but you want to take IB, then the option that you would want to select is offering one, because what that will allow you to do is to stay virtual, but attend class with the remote cohort with your teacher that's teaching IB at the same schedule that the school is following. So if you're IB and you want to stay virtual, you're selecting offering one if you're in high school. Okay. Ms. Braxton, for high school, could you talk a little bit about the CTE courses?
Yes, I would love to talk about the CTE courses. So in high school with the CTE courses, um, if you're thinking of staying 100% remote or virtual academy or staying at home 100% of the time, if you choose offering 3, which is the 100% self-paced, you will not have the exact same courses that are offered in Orange County schools at Orange High School, at Cedar Ridge, or at Partnership, because the online platform does not have all those same courses that we offer at our schools. So if you choose offering 3, your child may need to choose a different CTE course. If you're hoping that your child will be able to keep the same CTE course, then offering 1 virtual academy, 100% remote, offering 1 would be your best option, because then you would have the same teacher and all the course offerings that we already currently offer. And as you can imagine, in the 100% self-paced, the hands-on, the application is not going to be there. There will be videos, there'll be simulations, but it won't be the hands-on learning. Even in offering 1, if you're 100% remote, of course, you're not going to get the hands-on learning. But when you're with your teacher, there are those opportunities for you to see that equipment in the classroom and to possibly have an opportunity, if you so choose, to come in for a lab day. And so that would give you some flexibility. If you have a senior, it's really important that you work with your senior, with your senior's school counselor, and with your CTE teacher, CTE, Career Technical Education. Work with that teacher to figure out what's the best plan for your student, because it may be that you want to choose that option for the student to be able to complete their course pathway so that they could become a concentrator in one of those career clusters.
Thank you, Ms. Braxton. And so, and first, for our elementary and middle school kids that may be participating tonight, or for their families, International Baccalaureate and CTE currently, IB is at high school right now, and CTE is at middle and high school. So if you're elementary, you got things to look forward to. And so, and IB is at, it's a program at Cedar Ridge High School, that's correct. And for schedules, offerings 1 and 2 will follow the regular bell schedule as it's currently being offered, or will be offered second semester at the schools, because the teacher in the school will set the bell schedule and you'll follow around that daily schedule. If you're self-paced, of course, you do your own schedule, but you will be required to log on every day to do work. And that's part of how we will take attendance as well, is that you're logging on and completing your work. And for those wanting, there's a link that we put in chat that will share with you the staggered returns. And I know a couple questions came. So if you're having to come to take a state exam, of course, we will put a schedule together so that we are bringing back groups, not all at once, because we still have to adhere to social distancing. And so, you know, we'll do that in groups. We will follow all of the safety and health guidelines. Well, there will be the screening, all of that before students come back to take the tests. And for high school, if you're selecting self-paced, offering 3, but say that there is a 1 course that you would like to be able to take with your class. For instance, one of the questions came up, if a student is taking yearbook and would like to participate in yearbook, but still, you know, needs to be offering 3, then they can coordinate with their school principals to try to make that work for you in that schedule. But that means you have to join yearbook every time that session is happening during the day. So there may be a course that you may be able to take, even though you may be offering 3, just because of the boutique classes that our high schools do offer. So for the dual languages, that program that is offered at New Hope Elementary School, it would have to be, if you need to stay virtual, the way that you would be able to, at this time, that it's looking like how you'll still be able to participate in dual language is if you select offering 1, because that means that you're still attending classes with the remote cohort. And so that's how you would get the dual language courses and still be able to stay virtual.
Dr. Dawson, while we continue to answer these questions, because I believe this is the last slide that you have up before we get to the end, can we go back to either slide 6 or slide 8? That's just a great slide to have up while we're answering questions. Slide 6 or slide 8 that have the different options.
This one. This one, Ms. Braxton?
Yes, this one's perfect because I think sometimes it's nice. Oh,
Okay.
Oh, this one's great, right? Because then we can, as we're talking about offering 1, offering 2, offering 3, we can have a visual in front of us to be able to reference. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, does live stream mean that a camera and microphone are placed in the classroom? If yes, has this been tested to ascertain the audio and video?
We'll be going to 2 1.
So when we're talking about live streaming, what we actually are talking about, and actually I'm going to, sorry. This is the one because we want to have the hybrid, yes. So when we're talking about live streaming, it's just like what we're doing right now, right? When your students are going to class right now under Plan C, the teacher is teaching via either Google Meet or Zoom, and it's live. And so when we're talking about being hybrid, in the classroom, the teacher will be having just like our session is here, on like this. And I'll be teaching, I'm your teacher, I'm teaching like this, and you're all remote, but in front of me, I will have my small group of those who are in person. So I will be teaching like this and giving direct instruction, talking to my kids in person and those who are remote. And then I'll give my direct instruction, but maybe now I want my students to do some independent work. So I will ask students who are remote, please step away from your screen for the next 10 minutes. I want you to do this lesson or this activity. And then so they'll go off, I'll set a timer on my screen. And that time I might be working, the students here may also have independent time that are in person. The timer goes off, we all come back together. I'm, saying, okay, I'm gonna have some follow-up questions, but now maybe I want you to do some small group work. So the kids who are in person, they may, while social distancing, still come together in small groups and do some classwork, while my students who are remote, I'll put them in breakout rooms, right? And they'll be in small group interacting. That might be one scenario. Another scenario might be that I might actually create breakout rooms where I'm going to ask my students who are in person, I say, okay, could you please turn your monitors on? And because we're going to mix, because this is an opportunity for our kids who are in person to interact with those who are remote. So these are a variety of different strategies that the teachers will have to be able to teach both of students who are in person, those who are remote and virtual, and still get that amount of direct instruction for the students. Right now, what we have happening, we have teachers who are practicing these different strategies. We have teachers who are creating what we're calling mock classrooms. And what's happening in these scenarios is teachers are actually showing how that they are able to do this. And so they'll have, right now, because students aren't in school, we'll have teachers and other district leaders acting as the students in person, and they'll attend in person while the teacher's teaching remote, and we're practicing. Now, let's be very clear. We know, families and teachers, like, we know this is not the way that we're used to. It is not what we would like, But what we do know is that as hard as it is, we're still figuring it out. At the beginning of the year, we didn't think we could do Plan C. The thought of all of us starting the school year remote, we didn't think we could do that, but we did, and we're doing well. I've been able to sit in on classes and see the students engage, how they're interacting with each other. They're asking questions. I get to meet their pets too, because the pets come on screen. But we did it. We figured out how to do it Plan C. And now we're going to figure out how to do Plan B. And the part that we really like about Plan B is that we're going to actually have our students back in front of us, because we know that that's the best way for our students and our teachers to teach and learn. So we are really excited to have you back. It's not going to be easy. We're not saying it's going to be easy, but what we are saying is that we are all very, very talented. We're all very smart. We're all very hardworking to figure this out. And with that, there was, I know there might not have been a question on tonight, but there was one on Tuesday. When you fill out your form, and we do need it completed by November 23rd, right? So that your school teams can start making your classes and assigning teachers and trying to meet all of your requests as best as possible. But what we are asking though, families, is that what you choose now, that to please keep that for the remainder of the year, because we need that time. Our students need that time to get used to it and get really good at being in Plan B, just like our teachers need that time to practice and get really good at being in Plan B. And both our staff and our students, they deserve some stability and some consistency. So that's why we would really like for them to get into Plan B and finish strong. But if we keep flip-flopping, that will screw everything up. That's going to mess everything up, because the schools are working really hard to say, okay, what did our families want? Okay, we're going to try to create these classes. We're going to try to keep teachers and students together as best as possible. But then if families keep switching, all that, it won't work. So that's why we're asking our families to make your choice and to please make that a go for the remainder of the year. Okay. Are there any other questions that?
So Dr. Dawson, there's Dr. Dawson, there's been several questions about band and what will band look like? What will course look like? And I'm not a band teacher, I'm not a course teacher, but I'm over that program area. So I don't know the minute details of exactly what that's going to look like in the classroom. But here's what I'm going to tell you. We're going to follow all the research, and we are strong educators. We know what education's about, and we believe that band and chorus and theater and visual arts, all the cultural arts, are so vital to students' learning and development. So we're going to keep those in Orange County schools because we believe in them. But they are going to look different, because we have to think about obviously the COVID virus, and we have to think about the 3 W's. And so we are going to follow very closely to research, and we're going to rely heavily on the ABC Science Collaborative that gives us guidance. We're going to provide extra PPE in those band spaces and in the course rooms with specialized masks. In the band room, we are providing bell covers for brass and wind instruments. And current guidance that just came out this week is leading us to believe that we will not have inside the classroom playing of wind and brass instruments, as well as singing in the course room inside. So when the weather is nice and we can do those things outside, that's what we will do. Again, we'll continue to follow that guidance, because as we learn more, as the scientists learn more, we will follow that guidance through the ABC Science Collaborative and the research that they provide us.
That's thank you for that, Ms. Braxton. Because
can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry, I find the current slide just slightly confusing. I know you all have tried, so I'm not trying to criticize you all, but so the way I would characterize this is that if you're coming back to school, there's no full-time school. It's a hybrid option. So coming back to school is essentially virtual Academy 1, whereas at least half the students are in one half for 1 week and the other half of the students are in for the other half of the week. Or you can choose to be entirely at home, and that's only, of course, available to K through 8. But and then there's the self-paced kind of your own. So when it's listed like this, coming back to school is listed in a different color, but really that alternating hybrid week is essentially that first box that says Virtual Academy offering 1. That's what that is, right? Am I missing something, or am I confused?
So it is different. And so I'm glad that you raised that, because the first column where it says come back to school, they're selecting, just like you said, sir, in person and remote. But Virtual Academy offering 1, they are not coming back in person at all. But they will join remotely, virtually, the remote cohort of those who selected to come back to school. So you have, just like you're saying, because we are social distancing, our class that will select to come back in person, we are splitting them into 2 groups so that we can socially distance in the classroom. And so one group A will come 1 week, and at that same time, the second half, they'll be remote. And the Virtual Academy offering 1 students will join the remote kids.
I see. Okay, okay. That actually clears it up from. Thank you, because that was a little unclear. So essentially, in offering 1, while you're entirely virtual, you will be joining those kids that are doing the hybrid.
Yes.
In virtually, versus offering 2, you have your own virtual cohort and you won't be joining any of the in-person cohorts at all.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Next time, sir, we're gonna have you do the info sessions.
No, that's not a good idea, but I do thank you for.
No, but thank you, because that helps, I'm sure, other families too with that clarity. And just so yes, I'm glad that we were able to clear that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and I do want to just talk about, because there are a couple times now we've been hearing about winter break. So please know our academic calendar is still the same. We're going to go on holiday, and then we're going to come back January 4th. What we're talking about is Plan B won't start until second semester, and second semester starts January 25th. So we will continue to stay in Plan C. So after holiday, don't go too far. We need you back January 4th. So teachers will be waiting in our remote classrooms for Plan C for all of our students and families to come back. And then we'll start to transition for Plan B in January 25th. Okay, so that's the winter break. Okay, so that one, I think I saw that one a couple times. So we are coming near the end. And so again, thank you to our curriculum instruction team. And I know we have a couple other guests in here that are helping to answer our questions. So thank you for that. If you didn't get your question answered, again, we will be creating a Q&A with all of these questions and posting them on the website by Monday evening, before Monday evening. We will be posting the recordings from Tuesday and today on our YouTube channel. And I just want to say that, you know what, there has been some concern, and some of these questions came up right in the chat about, you know what, across the world, across our country, and in our own state and neighborhoods, in our state, numbers are going up, and we are not blind to that. Of course, we are monitoring that. And so next week we will have 2 sessions that is going to explain a little bit more about what our schools and school districts that have been open since August has been showing, that, you know what, even though numbers are going up, what we are finding and what research is showing is that some of the safest places for our kids to be are in our schools. One of the things that, and reasons why, is that in our schools, we are making sure that we are adhering to the safety and health practices of the 3 W's, of making sure that our students are wearing masks, making sure that we're social distancing, making sure that we're washing our hands, and making sure that in our environment that, you know how we're hearing about creating that bubble. Well, we're creating this bubble with our schools, where our schools, our students are, that's like the safest place that they can be. And our research is showing that. And so there will be more information about that next week at our 2 sessions. But you know, we're always gauging those numbers. And every decision that we make, we're doing so based on facts and science, and what is going to keep our students and our staff safe. Our superintendent will not jeopardize the health and well-being of any one of us. From the very beginning, she's always made it very clear how important that is. The utmost importance is the safety and well-being of our students and staff. So we would, you know, we are always going to be monitoring that. So I just wanted to let you know that we're not ignoring that question. We actually have 2 sessions next week, and 2 of our doctors and scientists that'll be here to shed some more light on what they're finding in their research as we are studying what's going on for our students in our schools. So, and oh, please to note that we didn't mention this in the form, but we're also asking you how your child will come back to school if they're coming back in person, the transportation question, because that'll be important too, because as soon as we have that, then we'll start working on our bus routes and making sure that you know when and where to pick up the bus and all of that. So it is 7 o'clock. And you know, I just realized I never introduced myself, but you guys, I think, figured it out. I'm Dr. Dawson. I am your Deputy Superintendent, and it's my honor to serve you. And I'm going to go to our closing slides, because there are some, info, oh, there we go, some key pieces of information for you. So I did share with you that there are going to be a couple sessions tomorrow at 10 a.m. And I believe these are on our website, so you can find, if you wanted to learn a little bit more about the Calvert K-5 curriculum. And then next November 17th, next week, will be the same duplicate. We did one in the morning, one in the evening for families who have different working schedules. You know, and we'll make recordings available for you as well. So we wanted to share that. And then again, you should have received your sign-up form today. And if you didn't, please contact your school, because that means that we don't have an email address for you. If you need help in setting up an email address, we'd be more than happy to do so. And then we do need your complete forms by November 23rd, because then the school teams are going to get very busy and look at all of your responses and start figuring out how we can best meet your needs. And again, we talked about the safety sessions next week and all the recordings, and all of this information and more, of course, you can always find on our school website. And there is on our school website a page dedicated just for Plan B to assist you with your decision making. And of course, if you have any questions, you're always welcome to connect with your school principal and your teachers, because they know you best and you know them best. But we thank you for joining us this evening. Please stay dry, and please let's take good care of each other and ourselves by practicing the 3 W's. We want to be sure we are wearing our masks, that we are waiting 6 feet apart, and we are washing our hands. So I see, is it Elias? I see a young lady that stayed and listened. So thank you to all of our families. Have a good night. Stay well.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.